We're talking about universal childcare that can cost a family $3,000 to $4,000 a month, and that's because a family has to work. They have to get to work. They have to be in their job. They have to make the money to pay for that. Universal childcare could put that money back in the pockets of families and allow them to use it for other things. Rent is high, food is high, everything is extremely expensive. We have pre-K, we have 3K. This is the logical next step, and is really going to make it so that New York City is setting the stage and being a model of sustainability long-term in the entire United States. It's been, I'm a very fortunate person. I have a village, literally, the grandmother, the aunts, our babysitter, all those people in line, and it's still expensive for me. But yeah, I felt the struggle, especially when I have my second baby, and finding childcare for 2 kids is extremely difficult. I could only imagine the relief and the help that we would be giving families should this pass.
Thank you so much. Good morning, buenos dias to all. My name is Jennifer Gutierrez. I'm council member for District 34. That's beautiful Bushwick, wonderful Williamsburg, and poppin' Ridgewood. I'm a proud parent to an almost 2-year-old. I'm also a daughter of a caretaker and domestic worker. I'm here with my colleagues and my allies in doing and advocating for something that honestly New York should have been the leader in years ago, which is the reality of universal child care, which is centering the realities of our communities that are mostly impacted by being disconnected to this vital resource. Women of color, communities of color that have long been doing more with less in this industry. I'm really, really excited because today we are hearing this 5-page bill under the Women and Gender Equity Committee led by our wonderful chair, Councilmember Tiffany Caban. And because we want to make the hearing, I will be brief because the reality is we're all here for the same thing, which is to continue to push, which is to reform this industry. We're not just talking about a service to families, we're also talking about career pathways for many of the people who you'll hear from today. The realities, the pay parity that they are looking to get, which is being led by the BLAC and my co-sponsor here, Councilmember Kevin Riley. You're going to hear from our providers that have been anchors in our communities for decades, and we want to make sure that we're uplifting them. We want to make sure that if this is a city for all, that we mean all. We mean every single person, whether you are documented or undocumented. Right. We mean every single person, whether you are Black, brown, Asian, or other. We mean every single person. I want to call up my colleague, but also my homie. We talk about this all the time. We are deeply impacted by this. My brother from the Bronx, Councilmember Kevin Riley.
Thank you. So good morning, everyone. Thank you, Councilmember Gutierrez. Thank you, Chair Caban, for hosting this hearing today to hear our most important bill. This is a legacy for me because most importantly, I'm a council member. I'm the co-chair of the BLAC, but I'm Brooke, Kate, and Caleb's dad. And that means the world to me. Recently, I had a video go viral of me carrying my son to a hearing, and that's because a lot of people don't know my child care facility wasn't available that day, that whole week actually, and I had to take care of my son that week. And child care is extremely expensive, y'all. We're talking about $18,000 to $20,000 per child in a family that we have to deal with on a yearly basis. And that's really challenging for a lot of families. And I'm fortunate enough that I'm a part of a council that's led by women that create a safe atmosphere for me to bring my child to work. But everywhere is not like this, and we have to make sure we're creating an ecosystem that's supporting for working families and parents across New York City. I'm not only talking about this ecosystem, we have to make sure we're taking care of our providers as well. That means making sure that they're getting paid on time, making sure that we're addressing pay parity, and making sure we're addressing the ills that are happening within our child care system currently right now. So I'm going to step back because I really want to get to this hearing, and I think that our advocates here need to make some very vital points on why this is very crucial and important. So I'm going to pass it along to Chair Tiffany Caban, who's going to be chairing this committee today to host this hearing.
Good morning, y'all. My name is Tiffany Caban, council member of the 22nd, and I have the privilege of being the chair of the Committee on Women and Gender Equity, and I'm excited to be here with y'all. This is so necessary. It is long overdue. When we talk about achieving a care economy, a caring economy, universal daycare is a cornerstone of that. When we talk about a prosperous economy, universal childcare is key to that. Forcing families to push themselves to the brink of bankruptcy just to obtain childcare is outrageous, it's cruel, and as I mentioned in terms of the economics, it's economically idiotic. It makes zero sense. Think about it. What do parents, particularly moms, although dads, grandparents, other caretakers do if they can't afford childcare? All too often, the answer is to cut their hours or leave the workforce altogether. That costs our city over $2 billion in lost tax revenue every year, not to mention the over $20 billion in lost economic output. And of course, this falls especially hard on moms of color. So it's not only outrageous and cruel and economically idiotic, but it's racist and sexist. So we're here to rectify that. And we want to say, what does our city stand for? Does it stand for trapping its children and families in poverty? Does it stand for undermining future generations? Does it stand for telling parents that they don't matter? Or does it stand for healthy, thriving families? Does it stand for shared economic prosperity? Does it stand for telling parents that you can equip children to lead happy, fulfilling lives? So we're here to fight for that today. We're going to make sure we get it done, because to be real honest, in terms of the ecosystem of advocates, there is no fiercer an advocate than a mom or a dad or a Thea. We are going to get it done. So thank y'all and appreciate all of the work that you have been doing for forever, and that I know that you're going to continue to do. So I'm going to go and get inside to get ready for all of y'all. And I will see you shortly. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Kaman. Truly grateful for your leadership and fighting. It took a lot of work to get today scheduled, and Tiffany was doing that for us, so truly appreciate that. Like Tiffany said, the loss of economic output by delaying universal child care anymore to our communities. But the reality for a lot of women who are having to either reduce hours, like she said, or step back from their careers, potentially losing out on $500,000 in a lifetime because they are forced to make that tough decision between childcare and their career, or oftentimes making the decision to even want to start a family, which I think we all know people who are experiencing that, and that's tough. And in the richest city and in the best city, we should be solving for that decades ago. Next up, I want to call up a leader in childcare reform, a leader in the realities of the anchors that these childcare institutions play for our communities. I think he's here. Yeah. Okay. But the same applies to the following institution, who is a partner actually to all of us, that's been standing with us earlier this week with the Progressive Caucus, earlier this week alongside Daycare Council for their report release. I'm going to call up the New York Immigrant Coalition.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Liza Schwartzwald. I am the Director of Economic Justice and Family Empowerment at the New York Immigration Coalition. Now, we all know that New York City is facing a major affordability crisis, and nowhere is that more apparent than in the cost of childcare. Now, the average cost of childcare at a childcare center in New York can be upwards of $20,000, and many parents that I know are paying even more than that. Now, that's completely unsustainable, and our families are leaving the city because they can no longer afford to live here. And plenty of families are choosing not to have children because they can't figure out a way to afford them. So, that's a huge concern for us at the New York Immigration Coalition, because 1 out of every 2 children in this city is an immigrant child. Now, earlier this year, United Way of New York City came out with a report that showed that 50% of people in New York City, of parents in New York City, were not making the true cost of living. And for single parents, for single mothers and fathers, that's a staggering 80%. 80% who cannot afford to live their lives. Now, we as a city cannot afford to lose these families, and we got to find a way to make this work. Now, creating a universal child care system is not just a moral win, it's also an economic one. As the council members have stated, we are walking away from $23 billion in economic output because families can't find and afford childcare. And I do want to call out some of the wonderful things that we have actually managed to do. Chair Caban did help pass the Promise New York City campaign to make sure that undocumented children have access to childcare. We were able to get a little bit more. This year we got to have even more than that. We need to see at least 20 million. And we got to make sure that all families, immigrant families, native New Yorkers, everybody who comes here has affordable and free childcare. So I want to thank Councilmember Gutierrez for introducing Intro 941 for universal childcare. Let's figure out a way to make it happen, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Liza. Thank you to the New York Immigrant Coalition. You know, something that I really loved about working with these advocates is that we see it very black and white. If the city would just look at investing in universal childcare as something that is not radical in the way that K through 12 was seen as a national investment in our communities, in our society, we would be where we need to be. There is a fear of investing in universal childcare, and I don't know, maybe it's because it's predominantly impacting women on both sides, but we need to change it, and the city council is deeply committed to that. Next up, I want to call up a friend and ally, my brother in North Brooklyn, Councilmember Lincoln Ressler.
Thank you so much. Can we give it up for Councilmember Gutierrez? Seriously. You will not find a smarter and better human being in the New York City Council than Jen Gutierrez. Sorry, Kevin.
Kevin is
I'm just kidding. Kevin's the best, obviously. I'm only messing with him. But, you know, the New School came out with some great research a couple years ago that highlighted that the folks who had left New York City at the highest rates during the pandemic were young families. It's the families with kids 0 to 4 who can't figure out how to make the economics of New York City work. And they left. They left in large numbers. Disproportionately black families. Working class people cannot figure out how to make it work in New York City because childcare costs have skyrocketed so much. The previous mayor added a whole new year of education with pre-K. Then he was well on his way to universal 3K. For reasons I cannot understand, this mayor has moved us in the opposite direction. In the last budget, he cut $1 billion from the 3K program, and we have no path right now to universal 3K.
Not right.
It's wrong. It's wrong. Working families can't go to work if they don't have a safe place for their kids. And that's why Councilmember Gutierrez's legislation is so important. Intro 941 is a North Star that we need in New York City right now. We need a pathway to universal childcare. It's not just about 3K. It's all the way starting from birth. We need universal from 0 to 4. We need comprehensive, affordable, universal childcare so that our young families, so that our young kids can get the head start that they deserve. We all know how important early childhood education is to leveling the playing field. It may seem like an enormous investment to think about what does universal 3K look like? What does universal 0 to 4 look like? But this investment pays off. It pays off in the economic output of more working families and enhancing our tax base. It pays off when we have more young people in New York City succeeding long-term in our economy because of the education that we are empowering with starting from the beginning. This legislation from Councilmember Gutierrez is one of the most important bills that has come forward in this council, and I could not more enthusiastically support it. I really want to thank each of the organizations who are with us here today to lend support for this. I hear it from working families across my district every day, and families of means that can't figure out how to make the exorbitant costs of childcare work. I know the BLAC has been really leading on this. So thank you, Kevin, in particular, and thank you, Jen. You're amazing. Appreciate you.
It's all hands on deck. Thank you. It's all hands on deck for childcare, right?
Yes. Right.
In the way that we have to turn to extended family to take care of our children, the reality is that we've got plenty of aunties and uncles and abuelas and abuelos who also think universal childcare is vital and should be a reality. And the truth is, everyone wins. This is not an investment that is only going to uplift one community, because when universal childcare becomes a reality, then the industry thrives.
That's right.
Then our communities thrive.
That's right.
People want to stay here because they know that their children will be cared for. Next up, I want to call up an advocate, a leader in childcare, an advocate in reforming our industry, in achieving pay parity. My former boss, now, he says it in this way, so the president of the Borough of Brooklyn, but my friend Antonio Reynoso. Thanks for being here.
How are you doing? How are you guys doing?
Don't disrespect the Bronx
I won't. I love the Bronx today.
That's right.
I love every borough today. But I'm very upset that this legislation is coming to bear and this advocacy is coming to bear in a meaningful way after my kids have aged out of the opportunity for free childcare. Kevin, you're not going to be able to enjoy it. No, but look, let's talk about the reality of what life is for parents in the city of New York. It's just so difficult. Everything costs so much. The opportunities for families are extremely limited. And the last thing we want to do is do more to limit that. An example is for a young family to be able to both work is absolutely essential at this point for the majority of New Yorkers. Having a child and having to pay an exorbitant amount of money for childcare really hurts their ability for future income opportunities, for the future of their child, and we could do better. We can do much better. With childcare, both parents can work, the child can start early childhood education, which is deeply important. A lot of people think that this is like glorified babysitting, when it isn't. We're giving our child opportunities to learn at an even younger age. This is absolutely the right way to go. I'm extremely proud, very proud of the work that Councilmember Jennifer Gutierrez is doing on this. And of course, this bill's sponsor is born and bred from Brooklyn. I just want to make sure people recognize that. I put on my...
It's me and Kevin.
Kevin is okay too.
Kevin, you don't
He's
deserve
from the
it.
Bronx.
I'm
No, but
sorry.
I'm really here. I'm really here because I just want to say thank you to the City Council. We want to do things that leave legacies. We want to do things that really speak to a time in the council that you can look back on and really say that affected meaningful change for people's lives. And this is that type of work. These are legacy projects. So to Councilmember Riley, Councilmember Gutierrez, great job. And I'm here to support you every step of the way. Thank you.
Thank you, Borough President Reynoso. And as you all heard my remarks, I talked about this being a legacy project, and you mentioned the same thing. And Councilmember Gutierrez stated that this takes a village to raise a child. I just want to give a shout out to all the dads today, because today is Dads Take Your Child to School Day. So shout out to all the dads that are taking your children to school, and shout out to all the events happening today. But it takes a village. Sometimes it's not the dad, sometimes it's not the mom. It could be the TT, the tia. It could be the auntie, the uncle, the grandparents. So I just want to bring up my colleague, Councilmember Nurse, who's an amazing aunt to all of our children in the council and her own. So Councilmember Nurse.
Thank you. Oh, that's nice. Good morning, everyone. I'll be brief. I just want to say as an aunt to 10 nieces and nephews, I very much support this legislation, and I'm really excited for what it could mean for families here in New York City, in my district, and also across the, as a model of legislation potentially for municipalities across the country. I've seen my sisters, my brothers, my in-laws, siblings have to make really hard choices and hard decisions when trying to raise their children. And I think it's really important that the whole community and folks who don't have children, folks who are choosing not to have children, really get behind this legislation and support it, because it benefits us all. Having women in the workplace, having parents be able to make choices that they can afford while living in one of the most expensive cities in the world is valuable to every single one of us. So I'm fully 100% behind this as an auntie in the council, and I'll do whatever it takes to help this package get over the finish line. So congratulations, you guys.
All right, thank you so much, Councilmember Nurse. We often joke that she's a second dad. She was with me the majority of my pregnancy while running for city council. So we really mean it. We really mean it when we say that all of our sponsors are deeply invested in one another. The amount of times where I've had colleagues say, well, just bring your kid, I'll watch him while you do this. And I love that, but it doesn't have to be that way, because not having childcare is not an inconvenience, it's a disservice. And we really need to change the way that we talk about it. We obviously would not be able to even introduce or move this bill along without our awesome advocates. I want to shout out, we have from the Public Advocate's Office, we have Riseboro here, the New York Immigrant Coalition, I think we see TA, just you, but you're welcome here. Anybody else that I missed? La Colmena, you're next. I'm gonna speak. You guys are gonna speak. So we're gonna call up La Colmena all the way from Staten Island to represent. Come on up. ¿Cómo está?
Hey everybody! Hi. I'm gonna say some words in English and my Kimberly will translate for me. So welcome everybody. We are here to fight. Don't forget, my name is Gabina Santa Maria. I'm from Staten Island and member of La Colmena. So we are here to say enough. We always the forgotten borough. No more people, no more. So let's see. Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Gabina Santa María, soy un miembro de La Colmena y vengo desde el olvidado Borough, pero no más, dijimos no más y aquí estamos para decir que queremos que todos apoyemos juntos para el cuidado de los niños. Can we do it? Yay! Entonces, quiero decirles que me acuerdo la mala experiencia que cuando mi hija era pequeña era tan difícil dejarla o encontrar quien me la cuidara. Ella tiene muchos traumas psicológicos hasta ahora que ya son grandes, porque créame, dejar a nuestros niños cada vez con gente extraña, dejarlos solitos, es bien de Can we do it? Yes. Y entonces estamos aquí con La Colmena juntos para decirles que vamos a poder salir adelante todos juntos y tenemos que levantar nuestras voces. Necesitamos el cuidado universal para todos sin importar el estatus migratorio. Muchas gracias a todos.
Okay, so just quickly, she put my name is Gabina and I'm a member of La Colmena and I am here supporting this effort regardless for all children regardless of their immigration status so we can have access to child care. I remember when my daughter was little and I had to go to work, how difficult it was when I couldn't find someone to take care of her. And I don't want any mother to go through that. So we must continue supporting mothers and fathers so that our children have the right they deserve.
Thank you. Gracias. Thank you so much to our advocates. Once again, we are here because of you. We are here because of the countless men and women who have dedicated their lives. They don't do this to be millionaires. They do this to uplift our communities, and we thank you. I want to close out so that me and Kevin can make it to this very important hearing. But before we wrap up, let's take one group photo. Yes, and thank you once again. Muchas gracias a todos. All right.